Welcome back to 843 TV. I'm now joined by Linda Roper. Linda, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So you wear several hats with the City of Beaufort, that's right?
I do.
And one of those hats is the Director of Parking.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about your job, specifically how it relates to parking in the City of Beaufort?
Sure. As the Director of Parking, I actually oversee our contracted companies, SP Plus, and their day-to-day operations. I'm also the liaison with the Parking Advisory Committee, where we figure out what kind of changes we can have to the program, make sure that it's vibrant and it meets the needs of the patrons and the businesses downtown.
Okay. And so you've lived most of your life here in the Low Country, is that right?
Actually, I was born and raised in Beaufort.
Okay.
So, yes.
And in your personal experience, has parking always been an issue here?
It has been an issue.
Yeah.
I remember going downtown as a young girl with my mother, and the adults, that's what they talked about.
Really?
They talked about parking, and it was an issue of where we were going to park and where we were going to shop and things like that. In my early years as a city employee, I was in charge of depositing the coins and the and the payments for parking violations, and I would read some of the complaints at that time. So as time progressed, the city in 1998 decided to do a parking study because there were some complaints and some issues that the businesses thought that there should be a parking garage downtown because of lack of parking. During that time, I became in charge of coordinating that parking study and becoming the liaison for at that time, the parking task force. So yes, I have been involved, and there have been several issues.
Right. And getting back to those meters and parking tickets, some of our viewers even may think that that's just an effort to raise money for the city. But we touched on this a little bit with Bill. There's more to it than that, isn't there?
There is. The reason why you want to manage parking is you want to make sure that there's a turnover of the parking spaces. You want to have that open space for the patron that wants to come downtown and go to a store possibly that they weren't planning on going to. So then when you see an open space, oh yeah, I can go there because it's close. Pop in. And we need to remember that and a parking space, the economic value of a parking space for the merchants is $37.50 per hour.
Is it really?
It is. So it's important to keep that turnover and have them available throughout the day.
Yeah.
So the more customers you have coming to your store, the more you make those types of things, and it keeps the downtown a little bit more vibrant.
No, absolutely. And if there's not a parking space on the block of the store you want to go to, you may just continue on your way.
Correct.
So if on-street parking downtown became free, do you think the merchants would be in favor of that?
No, I do not. I think that over time it would be back to we have a problem with parking.
Yeah.
We would have more people parking, more employees parking at the spaces, taking up the spaces for longer periods of time.
Right.
You wouldn't have that turnover. They would feel it after a while.
Yeah. No, I think that anybody who's worked in retail has probably learned the lesson of, if you're going to come to work, you're going to park, not right next to the front door.
Correct.
Some of these people who work in the food and beverage industry downtown, the people who work in the shops downtown, where are they parking?
Well, you've got some that are parking. You've got some that park outside of the 3-block area where we have paid parking. They actually park in free spaces that possibly are in front of some of our residents that are close to downtown, and they walk those 3 blocks or so. Then there are some that actually pay for monthly parking.
Okay.
But we currently right now we have all employees, or not all employees. We have some people paying for monthly parking, and we have 176 people that pay for monthly parking. We do not think that this is food and beverage. We think a very small percentage of that is. Then you have some that are actually parking at the meters and paying, and risking a violation.
Right.
So that's
Is that a sector that the city's looking at servicing, the employees of these downtown merchants and employees, you know, in an attempt to find a place for them to park?
Yes. We just recently purchased the 500 Carteret Street.
Yes.
And that should yield us about 75 spaces, public and monthly parkers.
Okay.
We're hoping to offer that at a very discounted rate for these employees, because one of the things that the Parking Task Force recognized was the fact that you probably need to provide parking cheaper for some of the employees.
Right. And so just to clarify, that is the property that's pretty much across the street from the chocolate tree, is that right?
Exactly.
And are you just going to, can you tell us a little bit more about the plans to develop that area?
Well, it's a very large piece of property,
Yeah.
and there are some spaces behind the building
Okay.
that are open space right now, and we hope to be able to put some improvements in there, put some curb stops in and designate that these are actually parking spaces.
Right.
We want to take one of the lots that are there and actually make those so that those are only for your monthly parkers and employees at a discounted rate. So, and then the other part of the portion of it we would make as public parking.
Okay.
So that we can have the one-time visitors that want a really discounted rate
Right. Right.
to be able to park there and be able to, and they'll have a little bit longer walk.
Yeah, but it's close enough, and you
It
get to see
is.
some of the shops in downtown Beaufort.
And as the city continues to grow out down Carteret Street
Right.
and further out, it's closer than you think.
So that's a very strategic move by the city to address parking in downtown Beaufort. Linda, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And stick around for one more segment of 843 TV.